All right, so last episode we were playing around with Audacity a little bit. And today we're going to talk about the VSDC Video Editor. And again, this is a very much a free program. There is a paid version, but I feel like there's the free version. The free basic comes with pretty much everything that you're going to need. So this is what it kind of looks like when you just start out with a blank project. You can import a video if you want to, but I just kind of start with a blank project because then you can start with whatever you want to start with. Over here are the main things that we're going to be looking at today. This is insert an image, insert a sound, and insert a video. We're going to start with a sound. And we're going to go to this one here. This is just like where you want to insert it. I mean, you can pretty much just hit OK for this because, yeah, we're just starting out. So you can see here this little bar stream intro complete one. That's our first file that we're putting into this. That's why there's a 1 there. And you can see the length of it here. If you want to get a closer look, this zoom bar lets you zoom in, and you can kind of see these numbers here start to stretch out as we do that because we're zooming in on that file, kind of like we did on Audacity, hitting the zoom in button. For right now, though, we don't really need to worry about that. Now we're going to add an image. We're going to add, let's do the Nordia map. And again, we want it to be the same duration for now. I'm just going to put it right over the top, and there it is. And so now when the audio plays, it'll show this map as well.
Welcome, traveler, to the 8 kingdoms. It is a dangerous land, rife with deadly monsters and political intrigue.
So that's kind of quiet. First thing we're going to do, I'm going to amplify that. And by doing that, I'm going to right-click on the stream intro, the sound file. We go to Audio Effects, Amplitude, and you can amplify. And I'm going to do the whole duration because I want the whole thing to be louder. You right-click, you go to Properties, and then over here you can see the audio volume. You click there and you can like set it, you can just like kind of pop it up a little bit and see how it sounds, or you can just set like a value. And now it should be quite a bit louder than it was a second ago. I'm going to turn this down to compensate for that. Preview again.
Welcome, traveler, to the 8 kingdoms. It is a dangerous land, right?
Ugh. Doesn't normally do that. I'm not sure why that's happening, but yeah, nothing to worry about. It shouldn't affect your video at all. Anyway, so now we've amplified that a little bit. We've got our map here. If you want to do something kind of fun, you can also make a video or images fade in and out. So you go to Video Effects here. After right-clicking on the image, you go to Transparency and you can fade in, and then you can set how long you want it to fade in over. You can do 2 seconds and it'll fade in really quickly, as you'll see here. It just kind of springs up. Or we can edit that by clicking here with our map selected. You can see it's selected because it has like a black border around it and those little squares at the end, so you can like stretch it around. So you click it here, and we might need to zoom in a little bit so we can actually click on that. But then you just right click on the properties, and you go into the time. And, oh no, the duration, sorry. Duration. And we just crank that up to, I don't know, let's say 10. And we'll see how that looks now. Now it's kind of a slow fade, as you can see. So, that's how that works. And you can also do a fade out, which I always like to do with a fade in. So we'll fade it out after like another 10 seconds. So at the very end of the video, it'll fade out, and we can get a preview of that too.
And where they go, I go. Can't promise I won't cause a little hell in my wake, though.
All right, and there it is. So yeah, that's something you can do. You can also just shift where this image sits on the thing. You can scale it up or down. You can move it around, So if you already have a video and you want to put some images over the top, that's a great way to do that. You just open your video, and then you open an image and put it in there. And then say you only wanted this image to show up for like a minute. Well, we can take this little cursor up here and drag it down to about the 1 minute mark. You can see in the bottom, under at the very bottom of the screen, that you'll see position, and there's a little number that you can kind of see wiggling around 1 minute. And you can set it to exactly where you want it to be there. And then you just take the image and you scroll it down, and it'll kind of snap to that bar so that you get it exactly where you want it to be. And it still has our 10-second fade on there, and the fade will still last, for the last 10 seconds of the image being displayed, which is kind of nice. So you can see it kind of gets darker as we get closer to the end there. So yeah, that's something you can do. You can insert like a bunch of images if you want to. You could, I don't know, let's find some more images here. Here's another image we can put in there. And you just scale it down, and bam, there's your other image. And it'll spring up from wherever the bar's at. You can move it back, you can, lengthen it out, play around with it, have some fun with it. The thing to remember is that anything that's down here, like the lower it goes, it's going to layer on top of this image. So the second one, this care rend map, is going to always be over the first image. But you can change that if you want to by right-clicking on this. You go up to order, and then you go one layer up or one layer down, and that'll move it behind the first image, as you can see, because it bumps it up. You can see they switched places down here in the little edit stream thing. So yeah, that's how you do some images and stuff like that. We'll get rid of that one. I don't really need that. Say you want to put some text in your video. That's also super easy. You click over here on the T, and you just click text. And again, it's going to ask you how long you want it to be. I mean, you can set this too. Like maybe you only want it to be like a minute. Takes a little figuring out, but yeah. So that's 1 minute, 0 seconds, 0 milliseconds. And then you just have to choose where you want your text box to be. We'll put it like right up here. And you have all kinds of text effects up here. You can change the size of the font if you want. You can change the color. White, I like the white, obviously, for the black text. You can center it, you can center it within the text thing, mess around with indents and stuff like that, and all kinds of different things. You can change your what kind of text you want, I mean, you got all of your basic, like, text functions here. We'll just say Nordia. And again, you can set how long you want this thing to appear down there. Just play around with it a little bit. Maybe you only want it to last like this long. Maybe you want it to last as long as this image ends. If you want to sync up two things together, you just have to right-click on this, move cursor to end, and then if we want this text to last as long as the picture of the map does, then we just have to stretch it out, and again, it'll snap to that edge so that oops, I went a little past it, so that you know that they're exactly the same time span. And again, this is the thing. If we do this, you can see that the image starts to fade, but the text is going to stay there. Well, you can also do a fade effect on the text by doing the same thing. Video transparency, fade in. You can set it for the same time frame so that it kind of fades in and fades out together, which is kind of that's what I normally like to do. And now the text will slowly fade with the image of the map, and so they'll both disappear at the same time like that. And those are pretty much the basics. I think that's pretty much all that you really need to know if you're messing around with this. When you're ready, when you're like absolutely done, you got it looking just the way you want it. I mean, you can watch it in the preview and make sure that everything is like playing the way you want it to play. When you're all set to go, all you have to do is export the project, okay? And now it's always going to export to some random folder, like in your videos folder for the primary user. But I mix it around. I like to drop it somewhere where I'm going to be able to easily find it. So we'll drop it on the desktop, and we'll just save it as, same as project 1, okay? You can also mess around with some of this stuff in here. If you want like a smaller video quality or something like that, lower quality, smaller file size, you can, mess with that, low quality or high quality. I, of course, like to go high if I can. And you can edit some of those specifics, too, in here. Typically, the only thing I mess around in here or ever have the need to is the frame rate sometimes. Because I'm currently, I mean, it's supposed to be like 30 frames a second. I don't know why it's at 20 right now, but I will drop it to 20 if I need to like conserve some space, or if I feel like I don't need it to be running super, you know, like super high quality, super nice transitions and stuff like that. You know, for just something easy like this, with just like a couple images fading in and out, you can get away with 20, 25 FPS, and it'll make your file smaller, it'll export faster, and that's what we're getting to now. After you choose what kind of file you want to save it as, you can export the project. You're always going to be getting these things popping up being like, hey, you want to upgrade? You don't have to. All right. When you're exporting, you just go down here to continue, export without using premium features, and then it'll export. And you can see our map kind of fades in over here on the preview. You can always turn that off if you want to, you know, or leave it on. And then it'll show you how fast it is exporting up here. Average speed, it's going up really fast because there's not a whole lot going on. It's just some sound and like one little image at the beginning of the video. And so you can see it's going like 120, 125 frames a second. And that's a lot of, I mean, and you can see down here, we're at 20 frames a second, and we're up to 130 now, which means it's doing like 4.5, close to now, like, no, sorry, 6, we're up to like 7 frames a second, so it's doing like 7 seconds in 1 second real time. You can see how much of the time has elapsed and what percentage of the video is being exported up here. You can see an estimate of how much time is remaining, and it should be done in just a few seconds. And then we can take a look at that video, and you can check it out. I mean, it's really nice. This is great. This is a great tool for like YouTube and stuff. I use this all the time whenever I'm making videos. There's just so much you can play around with, so much you can do. You can like, gosh, there's just lots of options available, you know, and it's like a lot of stuff, you know, that you might take for granted, like move your text around, move your image around, scale your image, scale it down, you know. There's just all kinds of fun stuff you can do with this program, and yeah, I'm a big fan. Highly recommend it. Hopefully this brief tutorial has shown you how to do some of that cool, fun stuff. There's one thing I think we forgot, which was did we do the fade in, fade out? No, we didn't. So you can also do a fade in, fade out, kind of like how we're doing with the text and the image. You can fade in your audio as well. If you go to audio effects, amplitude, you can fade in or fade out that audio, so that it kind of like eases in or like subtly goes quiet. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much all we need to know. It's gonna ask if you want to save. I don't really care about this, so no. And we'll open up our project here and see how it looks.
Welcome, traveler, to the 8 kingdoms. It is a dangerous land,
10 seconds,
rife
looking
with
good.
deadly monsters and political intrigue. Where noble houses great.
Here,
It
check
is
out
the
our
year
video
11.
text.
Osred
Osrith,
Osrith, the first of his name, sits the
and
throne.
it's completely gone
And
at
the
about the minute
infant
mark, which
usurper,
is just what we
10.
wanted, right? So bam, it's working awesome. And now this video is ready. If you were done, you can just upload it straight to YouTube now, like you would upload in any other video on your computer. So yeah, that's a brief little tutorial of VSDC Video Editor. Again, free editing software, very useful. When you go to download it, there's going to be a bunch of other programs in the package, but I feel like a lot of those are like kind of useless. You can just unclick them when you're installing it, and they won't install it. You can just get this one, because this is the one you really want right here. All right, well, I hope that has been informative. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you really liked it, leave a comment. And if you really, really liked it, go ahead and subscribe for more stuff like this. In the meantime, I'm signing out.